Nicholas Sidelnick was born on March 26, 1979, in Leesburg, West Virginia. He is the son of Eileen and Daniel Sidelnick. They were both teachers. Eileen taught special education, and Daniel was a principal and assistant superintendent. He has two brothers, whose names are Brian and Stephen. He later married Megan Shannon, with whom he had 3 children, Alex, Colin, and Olivia. Sidelnick attended Page Jackson Elementary School in Charlestown, West Virginia. When he was in 3rd grade, his family moved to Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. He finished elementary school in Cornwall Elementary School, and then went to Cedar Crest Middle School and Cedar Crest High School. He went to college at Millersville University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in history and a concentration in law and government studies. After he graduated from there, he attended Widener Law School and graduated in 2007.
Sidelnick had many jobs before he joined the military. He was a camp counselor at Camp Mack and Camp Bayshore, working in the nature department. He also spent a summer doing maintenance work for the Lebanon Parks and Recreation Department. Additionally, he was briefly a long-term substitute teacher at McCaskey High School in Lancaster.
Sidelnick enlisted in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard in January of 1997. He was promoted to private first class and eventually became a specialist. He had lots of training. He had basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and advanced individual training at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. His training lasted 18 weeks, and he was trained on a large number of subjects, including using the M16, saw machine guns, and M60. His training also covered anti-tank weapons, mines, medical field dressings, and hand-to-hand combat. He also learned how to analyze and gather intelligence from field units, covert operations, and other sources. He wrote reports to give briefings to staff to help them in their decisions. Sidelnick was qualified with a wide variety of military equipment throughout his trainings. In basic, he qualified with the M16 rifle and hand grenades. He was appointed as the driver for his unit, so he also passed the user driving class to be able to drive vehicles in Germany and Bosnia. While he was at advanced training, he made friends with multiple soldiers. One memory he had was of a group of him and his friends renting a car and taking a trip around Labor Day. They went from Fort Huachuca to Santa Monica, then Las Vegas, and finally the Hoover Dam before going back to Arizona. The worst part of Sidelnick's training was when one of his fellow training students tragically passed away in an incident unrelated to the training. His death and funeral was not only the worst part of training, but also his entire military career. Sidelnick had many drill sergeants throughout training, but Sergeant Williams was the one who stood out the most. He was much more laid back and approachable than the other loud and harsh drill sergeants. He would explain the topics in training in detail and made sure the trainees completely understood what was being taught. Once he finished basic training, Sidelnick joined the Pennsylvania National Guard and was stationed at the Harrisburg Military Post. He also joined the 28th Infantry Division in the all-source section of the headquarters company. He was tasked with collecting and analyzing data from intelligence gathering groups. All Sidelnick's training led up to his deployment in Bosnia for Operation Joint Forge Bosnia. Here, he served as an intelligence analyst. He worked in a sensitive compartmented information facility, or SCIF, which was a secured area where only certain people could access valuable information. He would write intelligence reports and summaries every day and brief them to the commanding general and the staff. In Bosnia, he and his fellow soldiers observed the first free elections after the war and worked on intelligence about the Srebrenica massacre, which happened during the Bosnian War. He also watched for any threats from rebelling groups at important events like the interment of the victims of the Srebrenica massacre. His unit would also find and disarm mines and unexploded ordnance. Sidelnick went to many places during his deployment. Some of these locations before his deployment included the Harrisburg Military Post, with an annual training at Fort Indiantown Gap, and Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
During his deployment, he trained at Hohenfels, Germany, and also went to Heidelberg, Germany. When he was in Bosnia, he was deployed at Eagle Base, Tuzla, and also traveled to Sarajevo. When he left for the military, Sidelnick had to leave behind his family and then girlfriend, which was hard for him. There were no modern cell phones or video calls, so he mainly used letters for communication. He primarily sent letters back and forth to his mother and his girlfriend, Megan. He could occasionally call back home with satellite phones, but these were very rare and complicated. While in Bosnia, Sidelnick stayed in barracks, which usually only held 6 to 8 people. He often passed time by talking with his fellow soldiers, playing video games, and watching movies. They also would exercise, not only to stay in shape, but also for recreation. When given the chance to take leave, he took a vacation to Budapest, Hungary. He stayed at a base there, where he was given Thanksgiving dinner, which consisted of turkey, ham, and lamb. One standout moment from Sidelnick's military career was when one of his intelligence reports made it to the president's briefing desk. This caused the command sergeant major of the U.S. European Command to personally visit Sidelnick and give him a coin, which is highly revered in the military. Sidelnick originally enlisted for 8 years, 6 in active duty and 2 in the active ready reserve. However, because he was deployed in Bosnia, his active service extended beyond his completion date. His active service officially ended in September of 2003, despite remaining in the active ready reserve for another year and a half. He was warmly welcomed back home from his family and friends. When he returned home, he started law school in September of 2003 and went on to become a lawyer. Even though he no longer served in the military, many habits and manners he learned remained with him, especially expecting order and discipline. In one instance during a job interview, a judge noticed his military-like personality and suggested he
work on getting that military out of here.
He joined a veterans court program in Lebanon County, where he would advise veterans that were involved in smaller criminal cases. This program helped veterans stay out of jail for minor crimes and let Sidelnick stay connected to fellow veterans. Specialist Sidelnick, thank you for your service.